Pterodactyl here, and here we're moving on to part 2 of the Cushman 62 Cushman Trailster that I've been working on. Remember in the first part, I had it mocked up and it was vibrating real bad and I had to start over. So I scrapped everything and started over. And here's that plate that I mentioned in the first one. This is what I came up with. So I ended up scrapping that other part. I only kept the bearing carrier, but yet I had to shorten it, and then I welded it to this piece of channel I had. And then since this plate is only like 3/16 thick, I felt it was probably going to flex with that big 10 horse motor on it. So I welded a piece of angle iron to the bottom, stiffen it. And then these are for some anti-vibe mounts, which I'm going to show you on the bike that we mounted. This thing's going to have 10 anti-vibration mounts on it. And then I welded the nuts to the bottom, captured them on there, so when I mount the engine, you know, I don't have to fumble around with the nuts on the bottom, because you know how that is. You don't want to be fumbling around with your nuts. Then I also made a little rubber pad to go underneath the engine. And then I cut 4 little pieces of tubing to act as like crush, so I wouldn't flatten this rubber out. So when I bolt it down, it'll lock up against those little spacers and it won't smush all the rubber out. So that's going to go under the motor. And then, you know, I'm trying to keep as much original look as I can to this Trailster. So here's the original brake light switch. So I mounted that here. That's going to go there. And then of course I had the original, you know, this was the original bearing carrier and shaft. So since I had to cut everything down, I had to cut the shaft down. So what I did is I cut it down to the length I needed, because there's a lot of ciphering involved. I had to line up the clutch with the belt, and I had to line this gear up with the back wheel. So I had to do a lot of ciphering and cutting and figuring. So this shaft was long, I had to cut it down. Then I ground a good radius on there. And then I went to the hardware store, or auto parts store, and got me a 5/8 fine thread die nut so I could put new threads on there. And that's how I custom made the length of the shaft. So you could do that too. You can buy these die nuts, wasn't that much. It was probably like $7 or $8. And then here's the original spacer that was in there. So I put the bearings in, and then this spacer, and then the other bearing. So that way when you tighten everything down, you know, you don't put any load on those bearings. So they'll spin free. Without this spacer, when you tighten everything up, you're going to put a load on that bearing and you're going to ruin that bearing. So that's important. You got to have that spacer. And this was the original one, and then I had to figure out how much to cut off of that to get it to fit right. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this all together, and then I'm going to show it to you, and then we're going to take it over there and put it on the Trailster, and I'm going to show you all those anti-vibe mounts I mounted. Okay, engine's all mounted on that plate. Torque converter's all on there. You can see how it's all on there now. One big plate. Now all we got to do is drop it in the frame, and then I want to show you what I had to do to the frame. Once you get a good view of how I built that. This thing should go pretty fast when I get done with it. We'll find out. Alright, now here's the anti-vibe mounts. Here's 4, 5, 6, and then I put 4 more out here. So that's 10. So what I had to do was, this was the original mount for the transmission. This went back here, because this had a 2-speed trans. So I cut that out, and then took this mount, was for the original engine, which was like in this area. I cut that out and moved it back, and then re-drilled the holes for the fender. So see, it's still got that original look. And then I had to redo the brake rod. Had to rebend it, but it's still the original rod. I just put some kinks in it, and this is all original, and this. And then I cut the foot pads off, remember in the first video? And I moved them out a little bit. And now I'm going to fill that in. That's why I always tell you, you can repurpose lots of stuff. That's why, you know what this is from? 30 brick of hams. This is good cardstock for making templates. So I made me a template that fits in there. And then I just flip it over and I can make one for the other side. And then I'll transfer that to a piece of steel the same thickness as this. And I'll weld that in and it'll look original still. Even though I moved it out about 1.5 inches. Give my feet a little more. You know, it's kind of tight the way they made that. I don't know why they had it so tight. And then it'll still look original. So now I'm going to go ahead and drop the motor in and then we'll take a look-see at it. Alright, here we go. Drop it on. Oh yeah, look at that. That fit perfect. Now I got 2 bolts that are going to go in from underneath where I had that piece of angle iron I showed you I welded under there. That's going to tie in these anti-vibe mounts. So what I'm trying to accomplish here is the flex of them vibe mounts. We got 4 on top, take up that vibration, and then we don't want the plate to move this way, so that's why I got them 2 fat ones underneath, and then we're not going to want it to move this way. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to get me probably some 1-inch flat stock, probably 1/4 inch thick, and I'll make a tie bar to go across to tie these in, and then I'll tie these other ones in the back. So let me go ahead and make those tie bars. Now I got stuff to make. Now I got to go make something. So stay tuned. I'm going to go make some stuff. Okay, now it's time to make the tie bars. Here we go. Oh, yeah. There they are. Woo! Just made the tie bars. There they are. I had to notch this one out. Yeah, they smell a little stinky. And this is for the spring for the brake. So I put this back one in. Now I'm going to have to lift up on this. I have to lift it up in the back. There we go. I hope it fits. What'd I do? There we go. There we go. Oh, look at that. Fits perfect. And then that's the, well, I'm going to hook this spring here. That's for the brake pedal to return it. I'll hook that to that piece of angle. Now we just bolt everything down. Here's the one for the front. See, now that'll secure that motor and rubber mount it real sturdy like. Alright, what else do I gotta do? I gotta hook up the chain, hook up that spring, put all the nuts on and bolts in, and then we'll see what else we can do from there. Keep watching. Okay, motor's all bolted in. I got the chain hooked up and chain adjusted. You know, you can adjust the chain back here. But when I went to put the original side panels back on, I ran into a little problem because of these bars. So I had to notch them out. But that's no big deal. I just had to put a notch in there. And then I noticed that they didn't weld the corners of these panels. So to add a little strength, I went ahead and welded the corners up. And then they used these real cheesy, like body clips. And you know, they're not very strong. So I went over to Napa and got some 1/4 of these. These are heavier. See, they got a lot of meat on there where you can put a lot longer thread. So I thought that's like an improvement. So now I can put these panels back on and see it still looks original. And this is not that noticeable, I just had to notch it out. So let me go ahead and bolt these back on, and then I'm gonna have to do something with the muffin. Because I bought the original muffin, but when I moved the motor back, the muffin was sticking way out here. So I'm gonna have to chop the muffin down and make it fit. Okay, I got the muffin done. I'm gonna show you what I did. I had to chop it down. I had to take 6 inches out of the muffin. And then I welded this brace in so I could use that tab. Because this tab originally bolted back here on the original Cushman, and I'm trying to keep as much originality to the bike as I can. And the muffler, you know, usually this ended up about here, but it's sticking past a little bit, so that's okay. So I cut it and welded it there, so that way, when I put this clamp on, it's gonna hide that where I welded it and shortened it, see? See how good that looks? And then I'll tighten all this down and it'll be all nice and squared up. Then I need to get me some kind of vanity plate to put on here, so I need to do that too. And I need to make some kind of cover to cover the clutch here. So that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna make a cover, and I think I got an idea. I got these hubcaps. They're like for a semi truck. And I think, you know what? I think I can mount one. I can make something and I can mount this here. So, you know, I'm gonna work on that next. Clutch cover. Okay, this is what I come up with to mount this here semi hubcap. I had this piece of steel. I got a friend of mine that works at a place, and he was able to roll this, and then I welded it so it's the exact size of this. And then I had to cut that lip off. See that lip? I cut that lip off by just taking a grinder, a 4-inch grinder with a flapper wheel, and was able to ground that off without ruining the chrome. And look, it fits in there perfect. And then I drilled 4 holes, evenly spaced, and then I tapped this ring, and then I got these button head screws I'm going to put in there to hold that on. And then there was a flat spot here on this frame. I think there's a bar or something that mounted here. So I welded that in, drilled and tapped it, and then I welded that down here, these tabs. So that should be plenty strong to hold on this cover I made. Oh, and then I sent away and had a custom little license plate made. Now the reason I got it made in the state of California is because it's black and yellow, like the Cushman, because I'm going to keep them colors. So that's why I went with the California plate, only because of the color. I do love California, but. And then I went with these old school reflectors to hold them on. See, isn't that cool? Those license plate things. So let me go ahead and put this on. Tighten this down. Put that cap on. And then the next thing I got to do, I got to make a battery box. I'm going to put the battery in this opening here. So I got to buy me a battery that's going to fit in there. Some kind of motorcycle battery. And I got an idea for a box. This is a battery box out of an MTD lawn tractor. I'm going to cut this up, and I think I'm going to use some of this, maybe put this on the side, and make me a battery box to fit in there. So that'll be next. Keep watching. Don't turn away. Okay, we got that mounted up. Just gotta polish it up some, but don't that look sweet? That looks good on there. Oh yeah, here's the battery box that I made out of that scrap steel. And then I'm gonna line it with some rubber. I got some thin rubber I can line in here. I won't put it on the edge where the holes are, but I'll put it in here. And then these two tabs will go with the gas tank. And then I gotta drill 2 holes for that. And I'll probably weld some nuts on there to capture it so I ain't gotta mess around. And then I even notched it out here for the battery terminals. Here's the battery I'm gonna use. I found this on the inner screen. It's a gel battery. So that'll drop in there. And then my cables can come right in the top, right there. Then I close the seat. The wiring's all been done. It's got the existing wiring on it. I just had to fix some of the switches and stuff so I can wire it in. Oh, and I added this. Gotta have a way to start it. So I put the start button there. Isn't that a good spot? It's out of the way, it can't get bumped. So when you're sitting on it, boop, 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 boop. Switch on. Boop, 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 boop. Or you can rope start it. So let me lower it down. Let me get it out of the wheels a little bit here. See? It's coming together. And it still looks like the original Trailster. Now I want to show you something I don't like. Look, look how close your knees are. And I'm not a very tall person. I'm about 5'10". Knees are real close to these handlebars. So you're riding along. Look, when you turn. They didn't think that out. Must have had a little short guy building this thing. Or a little kid. So they got some handlebars for a Highlander model that come up higher. I'm going to try to find them. Okay, I got the battery box all painted. And I got the rubber on the inside. I just put it on the 3 sides here. And this is the rubber I used. The thin rubber mat with like a texture finish to it. Now don't ask me where I got this rubber because somebody give it to me. And I don't know where they got it from. They just said, hey Taryl, you use this rubber? I said, oh yeah, give me that rubber. So they did. Then we're gonna go over to the foot pads. Remember I had to fill in them parts? Okay, remember I had made a little template and I cut the pieces of steel. I got this side done. And then here, check this out. See, you can see where I welded that piece in. And then this is the top side. Smoothed it out. And I want to tell you how I did that. I welded it and then I ground it smooth with my 4-inch grinder. And these are real nice pads because they will grind down steel and they kind of smooth it. And that's these zirconium wheels that are made in the UK, mate. That's where they're made in the UK. So you know they're good. They ain't made in China. That's what they look like. These things work really good. Not like a regular carborundum grinding wheel that puts big deep scratches. This will grind through weld and it makes it smooth. Then I took this file and finish filed it. You know, I got it kind of smooth, as smooth as I could. Then I finish filed it with this file. which is a curve cut mill tooth file. Then I took some 80 grit sandpaper on a piece of rubber, 1/4 inch thick piece of rubber I had laying around. It's probably an old snowblower paddle, I think is what it is. And then I went in the X pattern and finished it, and see? Look at that. So now I'm going to tack that in place. And then I'll finish weld it when I take this thing all apart to paint it. So I'm going to tack this in. I already got this one tacked in. Put the battery box in. Hook up the cables. And then we're going to take it for a ride. Okay, got it all together. Got everything ready to go. I'm going to take it for a test drive. See how it works. God, great. Somebody's here. Oh, no, it's Slipper.
Hey, Taryl, how's it going? What you up to?
I've just got my Trailster all together. I'm going to take it for a test drive.
Oh, yeah? Can I go with you?
I guess.
Oh, wow, yeah. Oh, this is going to be fun. Woo, yeah. Let's go, yeah.
Hold on, Slipper!
Taryl, slow down. Slow down, Taryl. This is scary. Why are you driving so crazy, Taryl? Slow down. Slow down. You're going too fast. You're going too fast. Slow down. Taryl, slow down. Slow down, Taryl. No, don't go down that hill. No, I don't want to go down the hill. No.
Yeah, baby, this thing runs great. Man, I'm really happy with the way this thing turned out. Now I gotta strip it apart and paint it, make it all right, you know, kind of tweak it a little bit. So stay tuned, and there's your dinner.